June 1st, 2001, Kathmandu, Nepal. 22 members of the royal family gather for their usual Friday night dinner. It's a tradition. Twice a month, the king, the queen, the crown prince, and their closest relatives meet for drinks, billiards, and conversation in the palace. By 9 p.m., 13 of them will be dead or dying. The killer? The crown prince himself, the heir to the throne, the man who was supposed to protect them. He walks into the billiard room dressed in army fatigues, carrying an M16 assault rifle and 2 pistols. He doesn't say a word, he just starts shooting. His father, the king, his mother, the queen, his younger brother, his younger sister, who was pregnant, his uncle, his cousins. One by one, methodically, he guns them down. When he's finished, he turns the gun on himself. In a single hour, Nepal's royal family is almost completely wiped out, and the entire nation is left asking one question: why? This is the story of Crown Prince Dipendra Bir Bikram Shah, a story of forbidden love, family pressure, ancient prophecies, and one night of unimaginable horror that ended a 250-year-old dynasty. To understand what happened that night, we need to understand who Dipendra was before he became a mass murderer. By all accounts, he was the perfect prince. Born in 1971, Dipendra grew up in the royal palace in Kathmandu with everything a child could want. He was charming, outgoing, and bright. Teachers described him as one of the most intelligent students they'd ever taught. Lieutenant General Vivek Kumar Shah served at the palace for 26 years. He knew Dipendra from when the prince was 5 years old. He was one of the most charming and outgoing persons, he said. He was so clued up that you couldn't win him in any debate or any argument. Even as a child, Dipendra understood power. Once, when he was young, he was running around the palace pond. General Shah told him to stop, worried he might fall in. Dipendra turned and said, "You can't order me, General. You can't order me." At 16, following in his father's footsteps, Dipendra enrolled at Eton College in England, the same elite institution that educates future kings and prime ministers. He excelled. He became captain of the karate team and never lost a single match. His housemaster remembered him years later. He was very strong mentally, very determined, he said. When he went into a match, you could see he looked very concentrated, very focused. But beneath that focused exterior, something else was building, a sense of duty, so absolute it bordered on obsession. Dipendra wrote a poem during his time in England that now reads like a prophecy. Left bonds of love and affection, having duty understood. If needed, soaked in blood, be ready to fight I would. To flames reduce, will lightning halt, spray with blood I will. On this uniform, the country's vermilion. Shake this earth, I will. When he returned to Nepal, he joined the military. He had no specific role to fulfill. His only job was to wait to become king, so he threw himself into training. He became an expert marksman, better than any of his guards. He collected guns obsessively. He was given his first pistol on his 8th birthday. By the time he was 29, he had dozens. The palace staff got used to hearing gunfire at night, Dipendra shooting birds, Dipendra practicing, Dipendra playing with his weapons. It was a sound no one worried about anymore, and that would be their fatal mistake. In 1995, while visiting England, Dipendra met a woman named Devyani Rana. She was sophisticated, beautiful, from an extraordinarily wealthy Indian family, far richer than the Nepalese royal family. Her great-grandfather had been the last Rana Prime Minister of Nepal, a man who wielded more power than the king himself. For Dipendra, it was love at first sight. He was swept off his feet. But there was a problem. Actually, several problems. Devyani's family had a complicated history with the Shahs. The Ranas had once controlled Nepal, keeping the Shah kings as powerless figureheads for over a century. That bitter history still lingered in the palace. Worse, Devyani's mother came from an influential Indian family, The royal family worried about outside influence, about loyalties divided between Nepal and India, and there was one more issue. The royal astrologer was consulted. Without any scientific basis, he decreed that Devyani would be unlikely to produce a male heir. The queen mother, Dipendra's grandmother, summoned him and told him the relationship must end. Dipendra refused. For years, they dated in secret. Everyone in Kathmandu knew about it. It was the worst-kept secret in Nepal. The public loved it. When Miss Nepal contestants were asked about the relationship, they gave it a standing ovation, but the royal family remained opposed. Queen Aishwarya, Dipendra's mother, strongly refused to change her mind. She wanted her son to marry a distant relative of the Shah family, someone who would keep the bloodline pure and the power consolidated. Dipendra begged, he pleaded, he threatened. According to friends, he once told Devyani he would poison himself if she refused to marry him. He became so desperate that his obsession started showing cracks in his personality. He began taking antidepressants. His doctors noted his inability to handle stress, his fluctuating weight, and his fear of growing prematurely old. But the real pressure came from the one thing that controlled everything in his life: money. As crown prince, Dipendra had status. He had a title, but he didn't have independent wealth. The royal family controlled his allowance, and they made it clear if he married Devyani against their wishes, they would cut him off completely. He would be penniless. By 2001, Dipendra had been fighting this battle for 6 years, and he was losing. The palace was pressuring him to marry someone else. Newspapers were writing articles questioning why the crown prince remained unmarried at 30. One article, from May 27, 2001, just 5 days before the massacre, asked whether his refusal to marry was threatening his status as heir to the throne. The walls were closing in, and Dipendra was running out of options. There's an old legend in Nepal about the Shah dynasty, a curse that has haunted the royal family for over 200 years. The story goes back to 1769, when Prithvi Narayan Shah conquered 3 kingdoms and unified Nepal, declaring himself the first king of the Shah dynasty. As he marched into the Kathmandu Valley, he encountered a holy man, a sage sitting by the roadside. To show respect, the king offered him a bowl of yogurt. The sage tasted it and handed it back, saying it was now blessed. But the king, disgusted by the idea of eating food that had already been tasted, threw the yogurt on the ground. It splashed across his 10 toes. The sage was furious. He cursed the king, saying his dynasty would only last as many generations as he had toes. 10 generations. The 11th king would be the last. For over 2 centuries, this prophecy hung over the Shah family like a dark cloud. And by 2001, everyone was counting. Prithvi Narayan Shah was the first. His son was the second, then the third, fourth, fifth, all the way down the line. King Birendra, Dipendra's father, was the 10th generation Shah king, which meant, according to the prophecy, Dipendra would be the 11th, the one who would preside over the fall of the dynasty. Most modern people would dismiss this as superstition, but in Nepal, where Hindu beliefs are mixed into everyday life, the curse felt real. And on June 1st, 2001, it seemed to come true. The evening starts normally enough. It's just before 8 p.m. 22 members of the royal family and their closest friends gather at the palace for their twice-monthly dinner. The host is Crown Prince Dipendra. His parents are there, King Birendra and Queen Aishwarya, his younger brother, Prince Nirajan, his younger sister, Princess Shruti, who is pregnant, his grandmother, the Queen Mother, his uncle Dhirendra, and his cousins. The only notable absence is his other uncle, Gyanendra, who isn't at the palace that night. Everyone is relaxed. Drinks are flowing, some guests play billiards, others chat in the sitting room. Dipendra seems fine at first. He's entertaining guests, mixing drinks, and playing the perfect host. But then something changes. One of his cousins, Kumar, notices Dipendra is drinking heavily. All of a sudden, the crown prince started shooting billiards out of turn and saying, "Oh, I'm getting drunk, losing my aim a bit." Then, Dipendra goes to a sofa and orders one of his staff to bring him specials, cigarettes mixed with hashish and another black substance. This is shocking. In Nepalese culture, it's considered deeply disrespectful to smoke in front of your parents or elders. But Dipendra lights up right there in the billiard room. His cousin Kumar gets scared. I remember thinking, "Oh God, what if His Majesty walks into the room?" he said later. Dipendra's behavior is getting worse. He's slurring, stumbling. His cousin, Padas, decides they need to put him to bed. They carry him to his bedroom. As they lay him down, Padas asks if he's wearing his gun belt. Dipendra often carried weapons. And here's where it gets strange. Dipendra's reply is completely clear. No slurring. "No, I'm not wearing one today." Kumar, who was there, would later say, "It came across pretty clear to me. There was no dragging of speech." In hindsight, it appears that maybe he wasn't really drunk as he made himself out to be. Dipendra had been faking it. After Padas leaves, Dipendra calls Devyani 3 times. She tells investigators later that he was slurring badly and she couldn't understand him. During their final conversation, he told her he was going to bed. Instead, he gets up. He changes into army fatigues, and he walks to his personal armory. He selects an M16 assault rifle, an MP5K submachine gun, and a shotgun. Then he walks back to the billiard room where his family is waiting. At 8:50 p.m., one of the palace aides spots Dipendra at the top of the stairs. He's dressed in military fatigues and carrying multiple weapons. The aide doesn't think anything of it. The crown prince collects guns. He's always showing them off. Dipendra enters the billiard room. His father, King Birendra, is there. His mother, his grandmother, his siblings, his uncle, his cousins. There are no guards present. It's a private family gathering. Dipendra raises the M16, and he starts shooting. The first burst hits his father. King Birendra takes 2 or 3 bullets and falls. For a split second, everyone thinks it's an accident. The gun must have gone off by mistake. Then, Dipendra keeps firing. His uncle Dhirendra steps forward. "Enough, Prince Dipendra. Give me that gun." Dipendra shoots him point blank. His uncle flies backward and lands several feet away. Maheshwar Singh was one of the guests. He remembered it years later. It was as if he knew exactly who he was shooting at. It was so focused, just going boom, boom, boom. Dipendra moves through the room methodically. He shoots his sister's husband, his younger sister Shruti, who was pregnant, his aunt, his cousins. One by one, they fall. One guest, Princess Jayanti, survived to tell what she saw. "What frightened me more than being shot at was his face," she said. "He looked exactly like the Terminator. Absolutely expressionless, but very concentrated." Captain Rajiv Shahi, a military doctor who was there, tries to stem the king's bleeding with his jacket. But when Dipendra comes back into the room, Shahi runs for his life. He escapes through a window. Dipendra walks out into the garden. His cousin, Kumar, who survived, remembers what happened next. "I saw him go out into the garden. Then I saw the queen go after him. Then I saw Nirajan rushing after her, too. The queen and Prince Nirajan follow him outside, trying to stop him. Nirajan, just 22 years old, tries to stop his brother. He steps in front of their mother, shielding her. "Don't do it, please. Kill me if you want." Dipendra shoots them both. Finally, palace commandos break into the billiard room. They find bodies everywhere, blood covering the floor. The king still alive, but barely conscious. Outside in the garden, Dipendra stands over his mother and brother. He raises his pistol to his own head and fires. The massacre lasts just over an hour. When it's over, 13 members of the royal family are dead or mortally wounded. King Birendra is rushed to the military hospital. Doctors try desperately to revive him, but at 9:15 p.m., he's pronounced dead. Queen Aishwarya died at the scene. Prince Narayan died shortly after arrival. Princess Shruti, pregnant with her third child, died within minutes. Dipendra is found in the garden with a bullet wound to his head. He's still alive, barely. And here's where it gets even more surreal. According to Nepalese law, the moment King Birendra died, Dipendra automatically became king. So the man who just murdered most of his family is now, technically, the king of Nepal. He's placed on life support, unconscious, dying, but still, officially, the king. For 2 days, Nepal is ruled by a mass murderer in a coma. At 3:45 p.m. on June 4th, Dipendra dies from his injuries. The country wakes up to the news in shock. Nobody can believe it. The beloved crown prince, Dippy, as people affectionately called him, had murdered his entire family? The palace issues an official statement claiming it was an accident. An automatic weapon went off. Nobody believes them. Conspiracy theories explode across the country. Some say Dipendra didn't do it, that palace guards killed everyone and framed him. Others point to his uncle Gayendra, who wasn't at the dinner and who became king after Dipendra died. They claim Gayendra orchestrated the whole thing to seize the throne. The government offers to bring in Scotland Yard to investigate. The royal family refuses. They conduct their own one-week investigation and close the case. They demolished the billiard room where the massacre took place. No autopsy is performed on Dipendra. To this day, some Nepalese people believe it was a conspiracy, but the witnesses who survived all tell the same story. His cousin Kumar, who was shot and lost his thumb, saw everything. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, he said, I might have been like the rest of the people of Nepal and found it impossible to believe. So what actually happened? Why did Dipendra do it? The official investigation concluded it was about the marriage. Dipendra had another confrontation with his mother earlier that day about Devyani. The family was pressuring him to marry someone else. He snapped. One of the survivors remembers that a year earlier, at his 29th birthday party, Dipendra had made a chilling statement after the elders left. You are either for me or against me. Anyone not in favor of my plans can leave now. I mean what I say. I'll kill anyone, any of you, if you so much as stand in my way. His younger sister Shruti had spoken out against him that night, telling him he was being selfish. Now she was dead. But others think it was about power. Some witnesses say Dipendra believed his father was giving away too much power to democratic movements, that he was dismantling the absolute monarchy, and Dipendra, obsessed with duty and tradition, couldn't accept it. Queen Aishwarya had once urged her son to return from England during pro-democracy riots in 1990, hoping he might prop up his father or even take over. Dipendra was horrified. He told his housemaster he would cut ties with his mother if she ever suggested it again. But 6 years of conflict over Devyani may have changed him. The pressure, the antidepressants, the isolation, the feeling of being trapped. Lieutenant General Shah, who had known him since childhood, said he wanted everything he did to be perfect. Now, here comes a situation where he's not getting the thing that he wants. He is not able to act the way he feels. That ego, that he couldn't do what he wanted, probably was stronger than his personal character. In other words, Dipendra spent his whole life being told he was destined to be king, destined for greatness. He excelled at everything, academics, karate, and marksmanship, but he couldn't have the one thing he truly wanted, the woman he loved. His family was denying him, controlling him, treating him like a child, and he couldn't handle it. The massacre didn't just kill 13 people, it killed the monarchy itself. Gyanendra became king after Dipendra died, but he was deeply unpopular. Rumors swirled that he'd orchestrated the murders to seize power. He hadn't been at the dinner. His wife had narrowly survived. It all seemed too convenient. In 2005, Gyanendra made the same mistake his ancestors had made. He tried to seize absolute power. He dissolved parliament and took control as a dictator. The people rose up. Massive protests flooded the streets of Kathmandu. In 2006, Gyanendra was forced to restore parliament. The following year, the monarchy was abolished entirely. For the first time in over 250 years, Nepal had no king. The prophecy had come true. Birendra was the 10th generation Shah king. Dipendra was the 11th. And under his brief, horrifying reign, the dynasty fell. The royal family was given 15 days to leave the palace. The country that had believed their royals were living Hindu gods told them to get out. Today, the palace where the massacre happened is a museum. The billiard room where it occurred was demolished and never rebuilt. Gyanendra lives as a private citizen. Some Nepalese people still revere him, gathering on his birthday to call for the monarchy's return. But most have moved on, and somewhere in the ruins of that demolished billiard room, buried under new construction and official silence, lies the truth of what really happened that night. Was it love? Was it madness? Was it destiny? Maybe it was all three.